Born with the gift of the gab. With MagMongoSlade. Shoot. He don't miss.
For the last several decades, there's been a stigma attached to pro wrestling that is for lowbrow masses of unintelligent, unintellectual, non-thinking sorts of people. And when you realize that Hollywood is actually for the elites, the rich and famous, who engage in a lot more debauchery in their personal time than the masses do, then you realize that all of these people who put on performances for the elites have to, in some way, debase themselves, humiliate themselves, and be part of humiliation rituals. They have to drink blood. They have to have trans children. There's 100 different ways that they degenerate from normal society to be different from the masses, to be away from the rest of us, to prove that they're better than us, that they have better values, they have better education or whatever. They adopt really stupid ideas, like believing men could get pregnant, like engaging in socialism, getting into these arguments about Israel and Palestine, all these political debates where they absolutely positively must pick a side when it's not really necessary. So when I see John Cena out on the Oscars naked, of course I have the same guttural reaction that everybody else had, that this must be some kind of Hollywood humiliation ritual, that he's, doing this for the cultists and he's trying to get in the club. And then I remembered, Cena's already successful. He's already done a 20-year wrestling career in which he made WWE hundreds of millions of dollars, already got tens of millions of dollars for himself. He could have retired and lived off the royalties of gimmicks that he's been selling, DVDs that he's been a part of, posters and trading cards and all this kind of stuff. He didn't need to be butt naked at the Oscars in order to get people's attention. He didn't have to sell his soul for money. So it's not for money. Is it for access? We know John Cena is a really good soldier. Vince McMahon wants him to learn Mandarin so that WWE can do business in China. Thumbs up, John Cena will do it. James Gunn wants you to walk around in the Peacemaker costume all day. John Cena, okay, fine. Thumbs up, he'll do it. We need you to wear makeup, skirt, and heels for a movie. Okay, John Cena will do it. We need you to start an OnlyFans account to support that movie. Okay, he did it. And now we've gotten to, we need you to get naked at the Oscars. So my question now is, it's not money, because John Cena already has money unless he's secretly bankrupt. What is it really? All right. He doesn't need to work. He doesn't need to do this stuff. It's not a necessity for him to live. So now my question goes, is it blackmail? Is it that John Cena has his career held hostage because he's going to be called a pedo rapist at some point or something to that effect, and he needs some kind of covering and he needs Hollywood to vouch for him as a good citizen when all of this stuff comes out? He's done tons of Make-A-Wish. Everybody already thinks John Cena is a good guy. Everybody already seen him as a paragon of virtue and as a character that, Vince McMahon helped to craft over 20 years. This is a guy who children looked up to. He was a role model. And now he's behaving like a shameless drug addict looking for another hit. So is he being blackmailed? Is he being forced, coerced? It's not incentive. It can't be. And so this has to be the next option. So I'm sitting here trying to figure this thing out. And I'm saying to myself, we think that it might be Hollywood cults who are trying to indoctrinate John Cena. Well, they've already done it because he's doing this stuff. So he's already indoctrinated. But how far are they willing to ask him to go? What's next? A human sacrifice? I mean, what's next? He's going to have a kid and trans the kid? He's going to trans the dog? How far can he possibly go? And when do we get to the respect part of the hustle, loyalty, and respect? Because over the years, we've seen nothing but the degeneration of John Cena's respect. That as people have watched him growing up, they've seen more and more things about John Cena that they don't really care for. And this is one of the things where people are starting to say, look, we were told that as pro wrestling fans, we had no taste. That we thought something that was theatrical and fun and whatever is stupid and degrading. I mean, there's articles out there about, people like Joe Louis being involved in pro wrestling and how degrading it was like. It was like porn. And this was in the 1960s and 70s, well, 60s, where that was the stigma of pro wrestling, that it was some disgusting, lower quality form of entertainment. It was like doing pornography. But now when you look at Hollywood, you're like, man, this is more degrading than pro wrestling has ever been. The stuff that they put people through in Hollywood, the things that you hear about from, people who are molested, how you watch child actors, or even child musicians, somebody like Britney Spears or Amanda Bynes, how they spin completely off the rails and they destroy their own lives. How can you say that wrestling is debasement now? How could you say wrestling is humiliating? Being a part of wrestling is humiliating. John Cena made millions of dollars doing that stuff without having to be part of pedophile rings and sex trafficking rings and all this kind of crap. But in Hollywood, to get on Epstein's Island, to be one of the elites, that's the kind of stuff you have to do. You have to sell yourself. How many female actresses we see willingly had sex with Harvey Weinstein to get where they were? And now we're saying Hollywood is for the elites, is for people who have good culture, good values. They stand up there and tell you that they're good people all the time with their virtue signaling. And this is the kind of stuff that they find funny. This is the kind of stuff you have to do to entertain them, is to get butt naked on stage at the Oscars. That cross-dressing is something they find extremely entertaining. They want to know that you're comfortable with that. As Cat Williams said, man, look, has anybody ever cross-dressed unsuccessfully? Well, I'm pretty sure somebody has at some point. I can't think of them. And now we're looking at it. How many people have truly debased and humiliated themselves, either in homosexual situations when they're not homosexuals, or in situations like what we're seeing with John Cena, where they were paragons of virtue for the most part. And now they're destroying their own reputation. They're destroying their own ego. They're showing that they have no pride in all of the work that they put in. And you do have to ask the question, like, who is the people that are kind of, I guess you want to say, controlling John Cena in this situation? Who is his PR department? Who are the people who are, his career is in their hands and they told him this would be a good idea? Because I'm guarantee you he did not wake up today and decide to be butt-ass naked at the Oscars. Somebody said this would be a good idea. This would be funny. This would be a good gag. This would be a good joke, John. And he whispered in his ear, man, the people will love you, John. It's like, I don't think so. People loved him for doing Make-A-Wish. People loved him for being, a standard paragon of virtue in the pro wrestling world. Tons of people loved that. That's going to turn off all of these people being naked at the Oscars. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to say, man, I thought more of John Cena. I really did. But now I see he's no different than the rest of them. How is that really a benefit to John Cena as a person? So my only thing is, I have no answer to why he's doing this. No other pro wrestler would have done it. I couldn't imagine Roddy Piper doing anything like this, or Randy Savage. Hulk Hogan maybe, because Hogan would do anything for money. Maybe Hogan and Rock would do it because they'd do anything for money. But most of the other great pro wrestlers who were engaged in this lowbrow form of entertainment because they were wrestling in their trunks and all this kind of stuff, none of these guys would have gotten naked in public as big superstars, as guys who made a ton of money. They wouldn't have embarrassed themselves and embarrassed their family and their fans this way. And I'm not one of those people who think that, oh yeah, the kids are, what about the kids? I'm thinking like, what about the kids' parents? If you're a Make-A-Wish 6 cancer kid, wants to see John Cena and you just seen his bare ass on television, are you really still comfortable with John Cena being around your child? I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be nearly as excited for my child to meet John Cena today, right now, as I would have been 2 or 3 years ago. And that excitement is going to dwindle over time. And is that really what he wants? I mean, again, John Cena is a guy who, again, has already been extremely successful, doesn't need to do the things that he's been doing. And I guess his movie just flopped. So he owes some people some money. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's an issue where, people bet on him for this stupid movie where he wore a skirt and that movie bombed. And so now he's got to find some way of getting back in the good graces of the Hollywood elite. Much like The Rock. When The Rock had Black Adam bomb, all of a sudden he's coming back to wrestling to rehabilitate his image. Is that what John Cena's going to do? That Cena's going to humiliate himself and then come back. Humiliate himself and then come back. And are we, as wrestling fans, going to be the guys who are going to keep rehabilitating these guys for the Hollywood elite? I don't think so, bro. I'm not interested in this. What Cena is doing is humiliating himself. And it's humiliating the people who believed in him, especially the kids who grew up watching him. They're going to look at him and see that he's a joke. They don't understand the intricacies of why he apologized to China in Mandarin and all this kind of stuff. They don't understand the intricacies of that. But they look at this situation where the guy that they looked up to as a hero is standing there butt naked in front of people and looking around and saying, is that really John Cena? Like, I know that the gimmick is you can't see him, but we can. I see you, John. We all see you, John. And it's embarrassing. Put your fucking clothes on and grow some fucking balls. Walk away from these terrible situations. Learn the value of saying no. Learn the value of not just immediately capitulating because somebody you're doing business with wants you to go out and do something that they haven't done. Embarrass yourself, ruin your image, and ruin your reputation for money that you don't need, from people that you don't need. I don't know what more to say.
MongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.